When Wet'suwet'en land is under attack,
stand up, fight back.
When Indigenous youth are surrounded by RCMP,
stand up, fight back.
When Indigenous women are surrounded by RCMP,
stand up, fight back.
We are unarmed. They had guns. We are unarmed.
They had guns.
Hello, my name is Ta'kaiya Blaney. My ancestral name is Jimajimuch. I'm from the Tla'Amin Nation. I'm 18 years old, and I was the last Indigenous youth to be arrested last night. We as Indigenous youth stand in solidarity with the Wet'suwet'en Nation in resisting the Coastal GasLink pipeline and the siege from foreign forces like TC Energy, like RCMP, and bodies that seek to criminalize Wet'suwet'en people for existing upon their own lands. As Indigenous youth, our inheritance is the Canadian legacy of colonization, genocide, marginalization, and the climate crisis that is fueled by fossil fuel projects like Coastal GasLink pipeline. But we also inherit a profound sense of responsibility, a sacred obligation to defend what is sacred, to steward our territories and the ways of our ancestors, and to remind the world what it is to be a human being. And what it is to be a human being is to owe that which gives us life. Our mothers, our waters, our lands, and all of that which we need to provide for our children. That's what I said when cops were detaining Indigenous youth last night. When we were standing with Indigenous children in that room peacefully, asking for a conversation with the Canadian government, as is our way and as is our protocol, to sit amongst each other and talk. But the Canadian government will never dignify Indigenous leadership or Indigenous law, because that threatens the foundation upon which Canada was built, is the idea that we have no standing. We're not just an inconvenience to Canada, but we are a direct threat by existing, because we are proof that this country was built upon something illegitimate. And when we were arrested for trespassing in Coast Salish territories, it's those same police forces that turn around and criminalize Wet'suwet'en people to further Coastal GasLink's trespass upon their lands. Colonial laws and the police that uphold them serve to profit corporations. They do not serve to protect people. When we talk about Canada and its international reputation of being peaceful, what we experienced last night was violent. When we talk about Canada and its international reputation of being a climate leader, what we experienced last night was criminalization for speaking for climate and speaking for land. Indigenous people defending their lands will always be the first and foremost voice in climate leadership, peace, having a good relationship with the people around us, the lands upon which we walk. Again, we're trying to remind the world what it is to be a human being and what it is to be responsible, what it is to be loving to our community, being accountable to our community, being accountable to our lands, and being accountable to future generations. Our demands were that John Horgan meet face-to-face with Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs. Not provide lip service, not send a representative, but sit face-to-face, dignify the hereditary leadership, and talk to them and uphold their laws. We know that we cannot take Canada's word at face value, so that's why when they sent a liaison to deliver a copy and paste document that they had delivered to other Indigenous land defenders in the past few days who had been orchestrating solidarity actions for Wet'suwet'en, we said this is not adequate, this does not meet our demands. Because when has Canada ever kept their promises to Indigenous peoples? Since we were there from 11 a.m., we were singing songs from all of our different territories. We had so many nations represented and so many youth representing these nations who were holding prayer together and calling our ancestors into that room to protect us. And we said, this blockade, it's not unconditional, it's not indefinite. It's dependent upon these demands being met and met adequately. We need proof that Canada will uphold their promises to us and to Wet'suwet'en people, and that proof wasn't given. And so we said, we'll stay here until you do everything in your power to protect Wet'suwet'en, just like we are doing everything in our power to protect Wet'suwet'en and our future, because as Colin said, an attack against one is an attack against all. If they're willing to do this to Wet'suwet'en land, they're gonna be willing to do it to our lands. So we were there, and come time the building was closing. We had supporters and allies in the front lobby. And as the night went on, people started trickling out under the guise that police would wait until the next morning to arrest, since it was already past the building closing time. And once supporters left, once allies left, once non-Indigenous people left, and it was just Indigenous peoples left to witness, that's when the police moved in, and they removed us one by one, and they went for the men first until it was just Indigenous women, until it was just us, the two youngest that were there and were peacefully sitting there until the demands were met. We didn't go in there asking for criminalization or for arrest. We went in there asking for our rights to be upheld. We're not asking for special exceptions, we're asking for Canada to commit to a bare minimum in terms of protecting our livelihood. But, I was the last to be removed, so no one was there when I was in a room of 7 to 10 police officers. I was alone when they were handling my regalia, my spiritual protection, and carrying me out of the building. I was alone when I was singing to myself, songs of my people to keep strong my spirit in the police van. This isn't what any of us wanted to do with our time. But it's so crucial that we stood up in that way, because that's what our parents' generation did, and that's what our grandparents' generation did, and that's why we can gather like this in groups larger than 3. That's why we can gather and wear our regalia. That's why we can gather and sing our songs and speak our language and grow up in our homes. But this fight isn't over. Canada is still employing the same tactics that they have for 500 years to assimilate our people and maintain their power structure, which will always depend upon the suppression of Indigenous sovereignty. So, I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say on this matter, and I want to allow all of the Indigenous youth that were standing with us last night and who risked arrest or were arrested to stand in this moment if you feel comfortable. And can everyone make as much noise as you can, because they are chant every time one of us was taken away. No matter what the police do to our lands and to our people and to our bodies, they can never break our spirit. And they didn't break our spirit. And I'm so proud of you guys. A lot of you guys didn't know until the day before, and you didn't understand the implications of what was happening until, before the action, right before the action started. And despite that, everybody stood there the entire day. Cops came in numerous times. And we said there's 4 of us who are willing to get arrested, and everyone else, we want you to maintain your safety. We know how police interactions with Indigenous people can feel and what the outcome can be. And yet all of these young people, they chose to stay till 6 in the morning. 18 hours, 14 arrests. So make as much noise as you can again for these young people. I want to pass the mic now, but I just want to finish by asking, where was mainstream media when we were being dragged out by police? Where is mainstream media when the RCMP is setting up militarized blockades around Unisto 10 camp and the Wet'suwet'en front lines right now? Shame. Where is mainstream media when atrocities are being committed and we have to self-report? We have to spread amongst our communities. Not only do we have to be on the receiving end of brutalization, but there are no witnesses. But you know what? Last night we were the witnesses because we keep us safe. We all keep each other safe. And so I also want to say a thank you to everyone who is supporting outside, and my Auntie Rose here, and our family, our relatives who are standing outside. It was really painful as youth to be alone and not have our relatives near to support us. Because that's what Canada does. Divide and conquer. They try and keep us apart because they know how strong we are together. So we're going to continue demonstrating that strength, and I want to see all of the faces that are in this room continue to show up because the fight is far from over. We're going to continue to occupy. We're going to continue to bring the message and to bring the conversation to the offices of MLAs and MPs, the provincial and federal government. You will talk to us. You will listen to us. You will listen to the Wet'suwet'en people, and you will listen to Indigenous sovereignty. Ta'kaiya Blaney.